My name is Naomi Dasharath Satam. I am 23 years old and I've done my graduation from St. Xavier's College, Mumbai in economics. This was in the year 2019, and then for 1 year I came to Bangalore to study with Rouse, and in 2020 I gave the exam. My father was very keen on having at least one daughter who is in the civil services. Whether or not you succeed in this exam is not a function of time. If that was so, all those who give 5 attempts would come first, right? Because they have studied for 5 years and I've only studied for 1 year. So it's not how much time you put in, it's about how efficiently you're able to utilize that time. But my main motivation was that I had no plan B. It was either this or it was nothing. I read all the NCRTs from 6th to 12th standard. I also started watching DNS. In the morning, I used to read the newspaper before coming to class. And at night, I used to watch DNS and take notes from that. So those are the two things I did regularly for 1.5 years. The significance of tests, you can't emphasize on that enough, because that is what is the difference between those who clear the prelims and those who don't. Tests are very important. Most people panic because they haven't started writing answers. But since I had a year-long experience, it was better for me that way. So I think in answer writing, it's better that you start early. Even if your answer is really bad, it's all right, because nobody is judging you at that point. When the judgment day comes, that time you need to be well prepared.
So today we have Naomi Dasharath Satam with us. She has secured rank 162 recently, and she was the student of our M2 batch 2019-20. Hi, Naomi.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Many congratulations.
Thank you.
So first thing we would like to know about all of this result and all is, how is the feeling sinking in after clearing the examination, especially in the first attempt?
Very happy and also very grateful to those who have supported me. Of course, this is not the best that I could have done. I could have done better. So I'll be trying harder. But as of now, I'm very happy.
Excellent. So to start the session, first, let us tell something about yourself, your academics, the place you belong to, and the other details.
My name is Naomi Dasharath Satam. I am 23 years old and I've done my graduation from St. Xavier's College, Mumbai in economics. This was in the year 2019, and then for 1 year I came to Bangalore to study with Rouse, and in 2020 I gave the exam. Basics about me is I love reading, I like sports, and yeah, this has been a lifelong dream for me, and some part of it has come true. So I'm very happy.
And when did you decided to go for civil service examinations?
It was right from school, sir, because my father was very keen on having at least one daughter who is in the civil services. And I was introduced to this field in 7th standard. And from then I've been moving in this direction. I took arts after 10th standard. So that kind of helped me. And I started preparation after graduation. So it's a long process.
Okay. And as you reside in Mumbai, how did you decided to come to Bangalore for preparation?
So I had to leave home because conditions in home were not that good. My little sister, she's studying for medicine. So there can't be two people studying in the same house. It becomes very hectic. And I have my grandparents also. So I decided I had to shift. So I thought I'll come to Bangalore. And here I found that the people were much more helpful and non-aggressive in a way. So I preferred Bangalore for that.
Okay, perfect. So now, as you have cleared your examination in the first attempt itself, definitely our students would like to know, before joining formally the coaching, what all the preparations that you have done as a head start?
So my batch M2 started in June of 2019 and I graduated in March. So the 2 months, April and May, I spent reading the NCRTs because I'm from the state board. So I hadn't ever read the NCRTs before. So those 2 months, I read all the NCRTs from 6th to 12th standard. And newspapers I've been reading from school, but I used to read the Times of India. So I had to shift to Hindu and I learned how to read that newspaper. I also started watching DNS, not very regularly, but whenever I felt that there's a news which I don't understand completely, I used to watch DNS. So this was what I started doing before coming to Rouse.
Okay. And once you started the coaching, I think your class timings were almost like 10:30 to 3 p.m. on a daily basis. So it's a lot of time that you spend in the coaching classes itself. So the most important difficulty or challenge with the students would be the managing the time post coaching hours. Okay, how to manage the time, how to manage the different subjects and different studies, and especially more so where it would be very good to know how exactly do we utilize our weekends, okay, when the classes are not there. So how to manage this strictly?
So I didn't have a fixed timetable for every day. I used to make weekly schedules, and then every day in the morning I used to sit and make a daily schedule. But there were some items in the schedule which I did every day without fail. Like in the morning, I used to read the newspaper before coming to class. And at night, I used to watch DNS and take notes from that. So those are the two things I did regularly for 1.5 years. Besides that, whatever was taught in class, I used to go back and read the blue book and the reference book. In polity, we had Lakshmikant plus the blue books. So I used to do that regularly after class. And since I was studying my optional on my own, each day I would spend around 2 hours just to go through the optional, maybe perhaps practice answer writing, something like that. So there was no fixed thing that I would spend this much time on static, this much on dynamic, but I made weekly plans and adjusted accordingly.
Good. What about the notes making? Notes making primarily when you have so much of material from coaching class, coaching also. Then you already have newspaper, you have current affairs magazines, and so on. So, what would you recommend regarding the notes making of your own from GS as well as current affairs perspective?
So, I would divide note making into two parts. One is the static portion and the dynamic part. For the static, I did not make any separate notes. I used to take down stuff on the blue books themselves. So whenever in class things were being taught, and there were some parts which were not in the blue book, then I would add it there only. So those became my notes. For the dynamic part, I used Evernote, and I encourage everyone to do it because I am not digitally very well equipped. I am bad with technology, but still I learned to use that app, and it was very helpful because it helped me consolidate everything in one place. So I think later on I can elaborate on how that app can be used well. But digital notes was something which I did for current affairs, and it helped me both during the prelims as well as the mains.
Okay. And coming to the mains examination, as it is very evident, it plays, I would say, the most important role in securing the ranks. So for mains examination, how much would you tell us the importance would be that of answer writing practices? And most importantly, how did you approach answer writing, both in case of GS as well as any specific strategy that you can suggest to our students for essay writing practices?
Right. So I'll start with GS. I started answer writing right since June of 2019. Like as soon as I joined Rouse and they started teaching from the blue books, there are a list of questions at the end of the blue books, which we are supposed to attempt, and most of us don't do it. So I used to write the answers for that and get them evaluated from the faculty. And I don't know if Parampreet Singh sir is here, but he will know my face because I troubled him a lot, giving him 2-3 answers every day to evaluate. So that is, I started early, and that means that in the 3 months post prelims to mains, most people panic because they haven't started writing answers. But since I had a year-long experience, it was better for me that way. So I think in answer writing, it's better that you start early. Even if your answer is really bad, it's all right because nobody is judging you at that point. When the judgment day comes, that time you need to be well prepared. So that's what I like. The best thing was start early, and with time you'll automatically improve. And with regards to essay writing, sir, so we had separate essay classes in Rouse where they gave us some strategy. And I remember the strategy which sir suggested, which was that you have to look for dimensions on a particular topic. And how can you look for dimensions is if you look at your GS syllabus, GS1, you have history, geography, society, GS2, you have polity, IAS, GS3, you have economics, environment. All these become dimensions, and they also have sub-keywords. So you look at each topic and try to connect it with one of the keywords. And then what knowledge you have for GS can be used in the essay itself. Only you have to structure it well and put a quote here and there, put some data, and you have a good essay. So I think if you follow this strategy, you can write any essay on any topic with the knowledge you have for your GS. So that was something I did.
And regarding this, what have been your main sources of study regarding GS?
For GS, I used the basic reference book, Lakshmikant for polity, Ramesh Singh for economics, and Spectrum for modern history. And then I supplemented that with the blue books wherever I could. For some subjects like disaster management or internal security, I looked for online sources. So many toppers have put their own notes online.
Okay, and then let's talk about whole of the journey. Definitely, the journey ended on an extremely good note, but yet the journey itself is, I would say, very long and, in fact, to be precise, very torturous sometimes. So there are definitely a lot of moments of ups and downs. So with the preparation strategy and the journey towards this, the first role definitely would come up to be that of the tests, because they sort of prepare us for the examination beforehand itself. So we would like to know roughly sort of how many tests you took off, and how the schedule of the tests you would manage with the schedule of the classes, and how much significant the class tests, the mock tests, or those becomes important in our preparation.
So I'll start with the last question first. The significance of test, you can't emphasize on that enough, because that is what is the difference between those who clear the prelims and those who don't. Tests are very important. One, because they give you the practice of collecting knowledge. Like, you already have the knowledge, but to recall that knowledge in that exam room is very difficult sometimes. And tests equip you with that talent. And secondly, you get to know which are the core areas which you need to focus on. For instance, there are some areas in which questions keep coming repeatedly, like fundamental rights, very important. So you may have read the whole Lakshmikant thrice, but your fundamental rights chapter, you should read 5 to 6 times, because that is very important. So things like that you figure out after giving tests. How I manage my tests with my class schedule is sometimes, of course, in Rouse, the tests were online. So you can't give half a test at one instance and then continue the rest. But for some tests, which I did on pen and paper, I used to give like 50 questions today, 50 questions the next day. I mix and match things like that. And while giving the test, I did not focus on the scores. I saw the test like a source of information, because whatever you get wrong is new data, and you can put that in your notes and you can use it later. So I know when I started, I got around 40 to 50 marks on 200 in every test. That was consistent for like 3-4 months. I never crossed the 60 barrier. And then towards the end, like just before prelims, I used to get around 90 and 100 tops. Even then, I was not certain if I would get through. But the good thing is, when the paper came, and our times paper was very, it was not conventional. People said there were some random questions, unexpected questions. And I did not panic then, because I was used to doing this. So if I would have panicked, I would have gotten a few marks lesser, though I knew some stuff. So I think the tests helped me to get that kind of mindset. And also they were a source of supplementary knowledge. So that is how I approached the test.
Okay, and going by the same theme, now we would like to know about the psychological aspect of this preparation. So definitely 1 year long preparation time. You're going through so many things in one time itself: test marks, class performances. So there would be times for ups and downs.
Okay.
So specifically segregating the idea, what were those things that kept you motivated, first part. And second part, definitely when we are feeling down, definitely there would be times. Okay, I would not call it whether we are giving it a second thought about preparation or not. But yes, the determination level comes down sometimes. The feeling is low. So how to cope up with that part, and what becomes our source of motivation at that time, specifically in your case?
So I don't know if you can call it motivation, but my main motivation was that I had no plan B. It was either this or it was nothing. So despite how low I was on confidence or motivation, or despite the fact that there was COVID and we couldn't step out of the house, I had to do it because there was nothing else I could do. So this was it. But yeah, if like there are things that help you. For instance, due to lockdown, I was back with my family because our PG is closed, and so I was home. And your parents' support matters a lot. My parents were very supportive. My younger sister, was very supportive. So there were lows, a lot of them. There were frustrations because I like to be very well planned. I had planned for the year, but then the exam got postponed twice. My interview got postponed, so everything got messed up. But then knowing that I had nothing else that I could do and the support of those around me, I think I was able to tackle those.
Okay, good. So what was your optional, and what are the strategies you can suggest to our students for studying the optionals, sort of roughly how you followed your optionals, some lists of the books or something like that?
My optional was PSIR, Political Science and International Relations, and I studied throughout the year on my own. I'm not sure if I'm equipped to give the strategies for this because I don't know how much I scored, and I don't know if this was an efficient way to do it. But yeah, one important thing is answer writing for optional, because that is aggregate optional gives you 500 marks, and these are the two most scoring papers. So if in GS you get around 110, that's a good score out of 250. In optional, you can easily cross 150. So that is something which you need to focus on, answer writing. And of course, if you have a teacher for that, it helps a lot because you can get your answers evaluated. So I think answer writing is something I would recommend for optional.
Nice. So tell us something about your UPSC interview and the specific preparations that you did for the interview as such.
So for the preparation, I prepared my DAF very well. Everything from the meaning of my name to places in my address, what they indicate, to my father's name, mother's name, my hobbies, my background in economics, optional. All of this I prepared well. And I gave around 5 mock interviews, 1 offline and 4 of them were online. And as for the actual interview, it was very cordial. My board was very friendly. I had the Bharat Bhushan Vyas board, and they were very supportive throughout the interview. And people say that there is grilling and they try to put you down, but none of that happened in my case. So maybe I was fortunate, or maybe people just overemphasize on their experience. But I think the interview was the best part. In all 3 stages of the exam, I felt interview was the best part for me.
Well, nice and good to know about all the strategies. And definitely it's a very happy and proud moment now to interact with you again as an achiever now. So again, heartily congratulations from my side, Naomi. And now we will be opening up the discussion for our students. So let's take up some of the queries from our students.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Congratulations for your success. I have a small query. As you have managed your classes and your preparation after the classes, can I please know how many hours could you pull out? Because it's being very difficult for me to pull out the time and finish everything as per my schedule. So I would request you to suggest me few tips regarding this.
Okay. So I never decided as to how much hours I need to put in per day. In the beginning of the day, I used to make a to-do list of 4 to 5 items. And I started the day with the goal that I won't sleep till I finish those items. And I'm very proud to say that it never happened. I always slept without finishing those items. But the point being that it's not how much hours you put in, it's about you have to keep challenging yourself to reach those goals. This problem which you talk about not being able to fit in everything, I think every UPSC aspirant, in fact, every student faces that problem. All of us are used to studying the night before the exam till 2, 3 and giving the exam. So this is not something which is unique to you, and you shouldn't feel bad about that. I never finished my timetable and I managed to score something in the UPSC. So the point being that you should try to finish it as much as possible. And as far as you can push yourself, like, okay, I'll sleep at 1 today, but tomorrow I'm going to pull a all-nighter. I don't know if it's a good suggestion to give, but I did that basically because if you understand, it's whether or not you succeed in this exam is not a function of time. If that was so, all those who give 5 attempts would come first, right? Because they have studied for 5 years and I've only studied for 1 year. So it's not how much time you put in, it's about how efficiently you're able to utilize that time. So if you think that I'll study for 8 hours a day and finish what I've planned for myself, that's a good way to do it. You get enough sleep, you wake up with a fresh mind. But if you're putting in 20 hours and not really achieving much, it doesn't make sense. So I suggest it's not about putting in time, just make tasks for yourself and aim to finish them. And if you don't finish them, understand that everybody else has the same problem and move ahead. That's all you can do.
Good afternoon, ma'am. A very hearty congratulations to you on behalf of all of us. Ma'am, my question is, UPSC is normally looking for people who are well-rounded individuals, right? Like who are developed holistically. And so what did you do other than studying to kind of enrich yourself, not just about this, but actually prepare yourself for a civil servant? Because that requires a lot of perspective and a lot of actual knowledge, practical knowledge. So how did you gain that, knowing that you couldn't step out of the house and observe things around there, given that you written your exam in 2020? That's my question.
Yeah. So in terms of having practical knowledge, I'm an economics student. And in my college, I was a very avid researcher. So I've written a lot of research papers. So I'm always used to looking at data and trying to find a good way, a methodology to research about stuff, basically. So even during COVID times, I kept a sort of, I don't know if you can call it journal, it's more like a scrapbook about things around me, how I felt, how the preparation was going, things like that. And I'm planning to develop it into a book whenever I get time. But that's it, like, you don't need to have a flashy hobby. There was one time when I used to think, to have a hobby, it needs to be something like, oh, I play tennis, I'm a professional chess champion. But that's not important. Even something like making collage or writing can be a hobby. So I continued with that. And I also train in karate. So throughout the preparation, I was doing that, online classes for that. So I also run. So things like that, I continued doing during the preparation, just so that your brain doesn't get stagnated, because it's a long journey. It's a 1-year journey. And for our batch, it was a 1.5-year journey because of the COVID pandemic. So nobody can sit at home and study for 1.5 years and be as efficient as the first month. So you have to keep doing other things. And it doesn't have to be very shiny. It can be anything. Even watching movies can be a hobby. And a lot of people put that hobby in the DAF. I personally don't watch movies, but it doesn't have to be a flashy hobby. It can be anything that you like to do, and you should continue doing it throughout the preparation, because that's what makes your personality holistic, as you yourself said. You can't just be that won't help.
Yeah, first of all, congratulations for your achievement, Naomi ji. I would like to ask question on current affairs. How you prepared for current affairs? Is Focus magazine is just enough for preparing for current affairs, or we have to do some other work on that?
Right. So your question, I'm going to merge with something I wanted to say before in terms of note making, because my note making was for current affairs, and that's what helped me the most for the prelims and the mains, actually. So for current affairs, I had 3 sources. One was the newspaper, so that was the core. Second was DNS, and third was any monthly magazine. I did not read the Focus personally. I read another magazine by another institute, but these 3 sources were my basic need, sources for current affairs. And how I did that is what I felt was something which was a game changer for me. So what I used to do, as I said before, I used Evernote extensively. I used to read the newspaper in the morning, like the whole end-to-end newspaper. It took me 1.5 hours. And the same night, I used to watch the DNS on that topic. And while watching the DNS, I used to watch one article, then I would pause the video, and I would open the Evernote and type whatever I remember in my own words. So that served like the first revision for the current affairs, because I'd read the newspaper in the morning, and at night I'm revising the same thing through the DNS. And like this, I made notes for almost every topic. In my Evernote, I had folders for every GS and the keywords. So in one folder for GS1, under that history, sociology, and geography. And whenever a current affair topic came from, say, geography, I would put it under the geography folder, everything related to it. And once in a week or once a month, I would come back to it, revise it. As for the monthly magazine, I read it at the end of the month. It took me around 1 week or 10 days to finish the magazine, around 5 to 10 pages a day. And whenever I came across a topic for which I already had a note, say I have a note on Afghanistan somewhere in the GS2 folder, and there's an article in the magazine on Afghanistan, then I would add the points from that to my note, so that next time when I have to revise, I don't have to revise separately from my notes and from the Focus magazine or whatever magazine. So all my current affairs were consolidated in one Evernote, which meant during the prelims, I only skimmed through that Evernote and my revision was over. What most people do is they panic at the end and they start reading all the monthly magazines one month before the prelims, or they read the year-long magazines, which usually creates more panic than any help. So that's how I managed the current affairs. And it was not very tedious because the notes were written in my own words, because I had paused the DNS video, I had written it in my own words, so I could recollect it better. And that way I finished 3 revisions of the same notes every month. So that was very efficient for me. And yeah, that is how you can make notes for anything, basically. And it served the best for current affairs, because if you look at a topic like Afghanistan, it's a long process. So things keep coming up and you can add these things to the same note. If you start to write it down, then you can't add more things. Then you'll have to have a file or something, which is not very efficient. So that was how I managed current affairs.